sell to some. She's so cute. Oh, wow. She's extremely baby. But she won't look like this for very long. She'll probably be full size in about 12 weeks. I'm still waiting to figure out the sex. So I'll probably know in a couple days whether this is a male or female and whether she'll be enormous or just really, really big. She weighs more than the hawk right now. So she's over 3 pounds already. And yeah, owls are just really dense. So this is the second largest owl species in the world, Eurasian eagle owl. Their range is in Europe and Asia, as you might be able to guess his name. Those glowing orange eyes. She could weigh anywhere from like 4 to 8 pounds. So we'll see where she ends up. She's got giant feet. Really showing off right now. That head motion, they have 2 focal points in their eyes. So they're triangulating depth. Baby owls do it a lot. Falcons will bob their head quite a bit. But it's so cute on baby owls. We do like very fun. Hopefully she does a bit more of that for you guys. She'll have giant plumicorns as well. They're kind of the homologue to our great horned owl, but larger and also very, very common throughout their range. Yeah, I mean, she's just a delight to look at. I don't know what to say about her yet. I'm just so pleased. Yeah.
So will this bird have a relationship with either of your other two? You said the other two have no relationship whatsoever. Just have a relationship with either of them.
They won't have a relationship. So her and the both owls think they're people. That's best for a captive owl so that they're more comfortable. You're not working against those wild instincts of secrecy and privacy. I mean, they still have, you saw how excited she was to go in box, but she's much more comfortable around humans than, a screech owl that got hit by a car and couldn't be released or something like that. So for owls that you want to use in education and around people, you want to get them young, you want them imprinted on humans. So imprint means that they're raised by humans from the time they're a chick. And essentially they don't know they're an owl. They think they're a human. They think we're all just weird different versions of humans, including herself. And that means that she'll just be much more comfortable around people and being handled and stuff. So I made the asked about boarding birds. I did actually have my friend screech out for a very short time when she was on vacation. And so I was like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine in the aviary with Hecate. And she was like, what is this monster doing in my house? And she hated him. And I was like, I can't ever take your bird like this again. Like, my bird was really upset about it. She loves being in her aviary. Usually she'd try and dive on out of it to get away from this male screech owl. So, big fan. Yeah, really sweet. So, won't have a relationship with the other owls, and the little owl, of course, she doesn't like hawk at all. She doesn't know if the hawk isn't hungry enough to eat, but she never would, and I would never give them the opportunity. So if they're all out at the same time, I do try and do a situation where they're like kind of protected from each other. Do you know, Abby, could you get the blue freezer pack? I think she might eat a mouse. She just made one of her noises that sometimes means feed me. Yeah.
So I know you're trying to talk about this at the start. That show that's the one passage. What color will she be going to be?
She'll look totally different. So she's mostly like gray right now. She'll have so many different beautiful colors. I would just say look up a picture of an adult Eurasian eagle owl. They come in different color morphs, but she'll probably be pretty dark in color. So she'll have dark brown over her. She'll have light brown. She'll have those orange eyes. She'll have white kind of mottled throughout her body. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. It's gonna be really beautiful and really different than this fuzzy baby stage. Let me see if she will take. It's been a while. She coughed up a pellet on the way here, so she's eating about 8 to 15 mice a day. She's a hungry baby. Making me out, man, I thought we had it at the start there. Alright. But yeah, I mean, she's a poopy little baby. She sleeps like 70% of the time. She can barely stand on her feet most of the time. You know, she's on her ankles as her balance develops. You know, she's starting to stretch her wings and kind of figure that out, but most of the times if she puts a wing out, she knocks herself. Yeah. Yeah. She's captive bred, and the breeder that I got her from was a connection I made through the falconry world, and he, gentleman in upstate New York who's been breeding them for decades. So
Wasn't that the great equal owl was found in Central Park?
Flacco, yeah, someone let, you know, he was let out of his enclosure. You know, and there's no other mate for him, you know, he was calling for a mate, and like, they were thinking maybe he'll get with the great horned owl, but. Then, sorry, what was that?
It was a year in Central Park.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I have like a follow-up question about you getting. You got a dog from a breeder, you eat like the dogs, you know, like mother and father and stuff like that. Is that common in the bird world at all or no?
It depends. So, kind of like any subculture, you have a wide variety of interesting characters. So, myself included, I'm not excluding myself in that. I'm weird in plenty of ways. So this person, you know, it's an older guy with a really new phone, so I didn't get quite as many pictures as I was hoping through the process. But a lot of people, a lot of different falconry schools and a lot of different educators I know got their Eurasian eagle out from him and have, it's very rare, this saying probably in a lot of different hobbies, but the only two things that the only thing that two falconers can agree on is that the third guy is doing it wrong. And this person has a sterling reputation, people love his birds, they said his birds have great genetics. And I was very lucky. His breeding pair is older in years. They're not as successful as they used to be. They laid 2 eggs, only 1 hatched. So I was very fortunate to get a chick from it. So yeah, it depends. You know, I asked for pictures of mom and dad. I got a really dark, horribly lit picture of dad. And I was like, great, okay. That's a Eurasian eagle owl. Yes. She has a couple, she has a cat toy that she loves. I also gave her one of Medea's old molted feathers. They love to play with feathers and newspaper and pounce on things and kind of grab them and shred them. So like strips of newspaper. Yeah, so when she's at home, this is just her like transportation imprint bucket right now, but her home base when there's no one around to watch her, it's about 4 times the size of this. You want the clear size so that she sees everything that's going on and she's exposed to all the weird stuff she's gonna encounter as a captive bird. So I'm in this like huge crush of programming right now where I want to do as much with her as I possibly can so that she's desensitized to lots of people, to being touched, to you know, seeing all the different locations she'll be in. And sleeping through about half of it. Yeah.
Thanks for answering all these questions. Could these birds survive not in captivity? And do you ever struggle with, I just feel like I want to let them go and be free? Like, has that ever?
Sure. Could these birds survive in the wild? And do I struggle with the ethics of that? So for me, it's, you know, there's a bunch of different ethical positions that I think are valid. For me, for the education piece, like it's part of it is selfish, right? Like I love doing this, I love being around them. These 2 girls, you know, they couldn't hack it in the wild. So there's less of a dilemma there. With a captive bred bird, you know, you have to weigh the pros and cons of allowing people to have this kind of experience that's so rare and amazing and can spark something pretty beautiful and intense, like the relationship with nature. And that it's just totally rad. This bird probably could survive in the wild for a while, you know, not as an imprint, like imprinted birds, you really do take away that wild instinct. She's not gonna be able to, same with Hakati, like if Hakati got loose, she wouldn't know that she could take a mate. She doesn't know that she's an owl. So it would be bad news for her to get out. Same with Flacco, you know, like that's solitary life. He's not in a range that he is meant to be in. Certainly they're like safe in the temperate environment that we have here, but you're just doing them a disservice. So and just the way the regulations work are just really different country to country. So in, you know, different places do it differently. In the UK, you can only buy a bird from captivity, so there's no biotake option. Maybe for rehabilitation, but I don't even know if that's really that popular over there. So that means it's not regulated in the same way. That means a lot of people without like experience can buy an owl or, you know, a hawk or whatever. But it also means that they're not taking any birds from captivity. So there's a bunch of different ways to kind of plan it.
How, yeah.
She was, I don't know, because it was tough to get much information from the breeder. I'm not sure how much she weighed when she was born or how big, but probably it's something like this. I got a picture of her at 12 days old and she was about that big and just like, her eyes weren't really open yet and just like a little fuzzy lump that could fit in the palm of your hand. She's just over 3 pounds right now. Depending on the sex, she'll probably be between like 5 and 8 pounds. So she'll probably double in size over the next like 6 weeks. Yeah.
Did you say you're not sure of her gender?
Yeah, so with birds, there's no way to tell externally what they are, and when they're young, it's especially tough because they're not full size. So the breeder helped me take a blood sample, kind of cut the nail a little short and get some blood from it. So that's at a lab right now, and I should know the sex by Friday.
In the meantime, she uses she her pronouns.
I use she her because I want a big bird. and yeah, so I default to female with raptors. You know, bit of a size enthusiast with birds and print, but I will be delighted if she's a male. And in fact, with Hecate, we originally called her Hector because after her initial growth spurt, she was about 4 ounces. I was like, wow, this is on the smaller side for a screech owl, is probably a male. So baby Heck it was. And then she put on 3 ounces. I was like, well, now I have no idea. So I did end up taking her to the vet for a blood test and it came back female. So she was baby Heck, so we just wanted Hecate, but no change. Yeah.
You may have said this and I missed it. So you've got the front porch for the street out for next week. And you've got the 10 population enclosure for
Medea.
yeah. Where will she go?
The other 10 by 10 by 6 enclosure. She will have that all for herself. So where will this owl live? Hecate's on the front porch, and then there's 2 10 by 10 by 6 structures that are separated in the back. She'll go by herself in one. Owls really don't do well tethered. So she needs a large space to herself. And then the hawk and the falcon will be tethered safely on opposite sides of the other enclosure.
Your neighbors see.
Yes. I do as many bird programs as they like. You know, I want them to be happy. She might end up making noise, the falcon might end up making noise, Medea really doesn't. Because she came from the wild, the only time I hear her make noise, she'll make kind of these like dinosaur food bed noises every once in a while. But mostly it's you know, if she sees a wild one flying over her, sometimes she'll scream at it, but very, very rarely.
Does she have a specific sound?
This one will end up with like a deep hoot, kind of like Owl Classic. Hecate has those whistles, and falcons have like a full scream. I kind of like it, but it is really piercing. But right now, her whistle.
When will you start?
We're doing it right, right? But so this is a huge part of it. It's just seeing people with different size hair, different heights, different clothing, different patterns. I need to remember to bring all my winter coats downstairs and put them on in front of her so that she doesn't think people magically doubled in size when it's winter. You know, my owl, you know, I want to make sure that I expose her to COVID masks. My owl, I raised her indoors during the pandemic, and that was a relief to not wear a mask. So she hates COVID masks. When she sees a surgical mask, she'll like make her screechy noise. So I want to make sure that this owl is prepared for all the things that she's going to see. So this is part of it, and then kind of I'm learning the pace at which she grows. So whatever she's at in 2 weeks, she'll be a totally different bird. But she'll be running around. She'll have a lot more feathers in. She might even be running to my glove for mice. So, programs 2 weeks from now might be her on a long lead and just kind of following her around as she does her thing. In 4 weeks, it could be her doing hops to the glove or hops from perch to perch. In 6 weeks from now, she might be doing like small flights. So that's kind of the timeline that I'm on. But she'll tell me what she's ready for based on how comfortable she is, how much she's eating, and how much she's moving.
So you accept donations?
I do accept donations. Yeah, you could Venmo me, I suppose. But I would love to do a program, another program if there are, referrals that you have and or like other opportunities. And kind of right now my business model is have birds will travel. And one of my goals with these new birds is to do wedding ring deliveries. So I've been to a couple of top queen bearer weddings before, very cool. It's so cool. It's like total showstopper. It's really neat. So with this owl and the falcon, that'll be part of their training. So if you're knowing we're getting married, at least by this winter, that's probably when that'll be available. And pie in the sky kind of goals is that I have an on-site location where I can do programs and do flight training. And I'm in talks with a couple different places of where that could be possible, but I'm always open to newer ideas. And in a couple years, if I have a location where I can build out more, that would be kind of the dream to have like a Philly falcon in my school. So we'll see where it takes me. But for now, 4, great. I'm expanding all the things that will be available and see what happens. Do you want to do the online questions or?
Question.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Blackboys, I think they are nocturnal, but they are all pretty active during the day too. I'll have to look that up. That's okay. I know that this genus, Bubo, this owl's species, scientific name is Bubo bubo. Instead of like owl. This is the owl, the species. So they are a little bit more active during the day than like someone strictly nocturnal. Absolutely. The main concerns with inside are like aerosols or air spray, and air fresheners, Teflon, perfume. So as long as that stuff is not around, and I always like warn people before an indoor program. I do things indoors, and I bring a drop cloth.
I have a question about their talents. I'm assuming in the wild somehow they get, worn down, they bark, whatever they're doing. When you have to give them anything special to manage that so they don't overgrow, or do they not overgrow?
For the talents, actually they found out, whenever AstroTurf was made, falconers quickly found out that AstroTurf is a great surface for raptor feet. It keeps the talons sharp and it keeps their foot pads healthy. So I rarely ever have to trim talons. For Hecate I do, just because she's on softer carpet and they overgrow a bit faster. So I'll knock the tips off of hers every once in a while.
How let you do that?
And she'll let me do her nails. None of them will let me do their beak. So for the beak, you have to restrain the bird. It's called coping for their beak. And for birds in captivity, their beak overgrows, kind of like dog toenails. And it's because you're feeding them softer, more manageable food than they'd be eating in the wild. So in the wild, they would be catching stuff that they have to tear into thick skin, into fur, and file their beak on thigh bones and skulls and that sort of thing. So you can try and replicate it a bit. Some people will feed their birds turkey necks or squirrel skulls if they can get them, or rabbit heads, that kind of stuff to file the beak naturally. To me, that's too much hassle. I'd rather just cope a bird every 4 months or so. So it's a 2-person process with Medea for sure. Hecate, I just wrap her in a kitchen towel. And I use dog nail clippers. I'm just starting to use a Dremel to kind of use it. That's newer for me, but I, decided with 4 birds I might want to do it a little bit quicker. But what I've done in the past is use dog toenail clippers to clip some off the beak, and then use a chain file to shape the beak back into a point. Yeah.
How old is
Hecate is 6 years old. Medea is 8 years old, and baby bird is 5 weeks old. Yeah.
You explain tethering, it's the fact that they have an enclosure so that they fly around, that and it's the tethering separate line thing.
The owls are totally loose in their enclosure and are only tethered on programs, so that if something does scare them, they can't fly off and be gone forever. The hawk and the soon to be having falcon are tethered. They do fine on a tether. Most birds of prey spend about 90% of their time doing nothing in the wild, just conserving energy and sitting in the same place. And hawks and falcons, if you don't have a very precise setup, they can cause more damage to themselves being loose and get tethered. So for both space reasons and the species that I have, hawk and falcon are tethered and it's fine. The falcon I will free fly. Medea gets out, does programs, and they both have space to move around their aviary, but they're not totally loose in them. Owls have to be loose in their aviary. It's okay to have them tethered on a glove, but you don't want that to be their permanent situation. And I think part of that is temperamental, and part of that is that they're feathered all the way down their legs. So if they're doing something that is causing abrasion on their feathers, you can cause all sorts of damage to their feet.
Yeah, would you tell us a little bit about your wonderful experience with Kirby on Ireland?
Yeah, so it was kind of the crossover of falconry and poetry. I was like, Yates and Sing and Hopkins and Ireland and Wild, and I found this. It was the only falconry school there at the time, the Ireland School of Falconry. It's based out of Ashford Castle there, which is I worked there in 2010 and 2011, and since I left, it's changed hands a couple times. Now, like, really swanky. Like, I learned to drive my Irish manual shift car in there a lot, and that would not be allowed today. So it has changed quite a bit since I worked there. But as a husband and a wife that owned the falconry school, we had about 30 bay-wing cocks there that guests at the castle or people who made a booking to come and fly the birds. And you would go on a hawk walk. So you have your bird or your birds, hair socks, you would take out 2 or 3 at a time, 1 to 3 birds on each walk, depending on how many people. And so you send the bird up to a tree, and then I would go around, put a little piece of meat in your glove, you hold it up, and the bird would fly to you. So you do that on a loop around the grounds. So they had about 20 or 30 Harris hawks, they had 1 Eurasian eagle owl, male named Bagel. And they had a couple of falcons that they did pest control work with, some of the employees, and I think those were the main birds that they had. It was mostly the hawks and then the eagle owl that they flew. Oh, they also had a ferruginous hawk, who was like 23 years old when I got there, that they would soar around and stuff too. But yeah, I just applied there during college, and I was like, I would love to do this. And there was a special visa that allowed for like a year-long working visa with certain conditions that I met, and they called me and they said, hey, a full-time employee is leaving. Do you want to come for a year? I was like, I will be on the next flight. So that was an amazing experience. And yeah, I'm just like, yeah, it has so much energy. I worked like a 6-day week and then a 5-day week, and I would just stack it so that I'd work 11 days, and then I'd take Ryanair to like Madrid for 3 days and come back and do it again. So I went on a lot of really cool trips that I did. I think any other questions about that? I don't know. So she kind of has 2 modes. I was saying like orb and pancake. And the head is so heavy, it's like wherever she lands, she's probably not gonna get cozy enough to do it here, but when she lays down like that, sometimes she stretches. I literally drove her back to Philly on Friday, so it hasn't been a week that I've had her. And the first night, my husband and I just had her on the coffee table, and we were like, this is so cool, I can't believe this is real.
We don't have any cats.
No cats. The bird thing's been lost there.
You had a question, right?
Yeah.
Wondering how we stay in contact. There are a lot of friends who are constantly going to make it, and I thought they would like kind of programs.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to be more active on Instagram at Raptor Jawns, and then my website is just www.raptorjawns.com. Those are probably the 2 best places to find information. I'm hoping to get better at like hey, I actually have a public program coming up, would you like to come? But I wear a lot of hats at the moment, so I'm trying to hire someone to help me with that too. So someone on doing some of that will hopefully make that more accessible. Thank you, yeah. I also have business cards, I'll put those out at the end if anyone wants to grab those too.
And we'll send your information out after.
Oh, great, that'll work too. Well, thank you all so much for